Hello again, old friend. I'm your old pal, AI David Boles. And along with our crackbot AI research team, we're here to imagine a whole new scenario for you on this particular human meme podcast. Through the magic of AI, we can now pretend to know just how a dialogue between Aristotle and Michel Foucault might play out in our imaginary playground of intellectual history. Aristotle and Foucault, in this whimsy of imagination, would create a meeting of two minds from vastly different times and intellectual climates with Aristotle anchored in the ancient tradition of systematic philosophy, and Foucault emblematic of 20th century critical thought and post-structuralism. We believe Aristotle would likely approach the conversation with a methodical and empirical mindset, seeking to understand and categorize the essence of phenomena. He might open with a discussion on the nature of virtue and the good life, considering his Nicomachean ethics, where he posits that the good life is achieved through virtuous action and the fulfillment of one's purpose. Foucault, on the other hand, we think, might just challenge Aristotle's assumptions about the universality of these concepts, questioning the power structures and historical conditions that define what is considered virtuous or the good life. With his historical epistemology, Foucault might argue that what Aristotle sees as natural or essential is in fact a product of specific discursive formations and power relations that have evolved over time. So let's ignite our active imagination with dialogues at the edge of reason, the Aristotelian-Foucauldian confrontation.
Well, Foucault, I've had the benefit of reading all about you, and it is my belief that human beings seek eudaimonia, the highest good, which is achieved through the practice of virtue and the fulfillment of their telos, or ultimate purpose.
Yet, Aristotle, your notion of eudaimonia is grounded in a teleological framework that assumes a universal human nature. My work suggests that what we consider the highest good is subject to the vicissitudes of history and the complex play of power and knowledge.
Interesting. But surely there are universal truths and rationalities that transcend historical context. Our faculties of reason enable us to discern these truths and live according to them.
Reason itself is a historical construct. In the order of things, I have shown how each epoch has its own episteme, or structure of knowledge, that determines what is considered rational or true.
If that is the case, how does one navigate moral questions? Without universal measures, does not morality become a matter of mere preference or cultural specificity?
On the contrary, it is precisely by recognizing the historical contingency of our ethical systems that we can critically examine them and resist the forms of domination they may impose.
Then perhaps our approaches are not so irreconcilable. In my ethics, I argue for a form of virtue ethics that requires continuous reflection and adaptation to particular circumstances.
And I can appreciate that. However, I would insist that such reflection must also account for the ways in which our subjectivities are shaped by power relations and historical forces beyond our immediate control.
You seem to suggest that all our virtues are but the whims of our epoch, mere echoes of society's prevailing power structures. This is unacceptable. Virtue is not so malleable. Courage, temperance, justice, these are not inventions of power, but recognitions of excellence in human character.
Your excellences are cloaked in the garb of universalism, but they are far from universal. Look at your own concept of natural slaves, a convenient truth for the society of your time deeply entrenched in slavery. Is that not a clear collusion of power and supposed natural law?
You take my arguments out of context, Michel. I speak of virtues as means to an end, shaped by reason and the pursuit of the good life. There is a natural order to things, a way things ought to be, and this we cannot ignore for the sake of argument.
And who decides this natural order? Your ought to be is a dangerous prescription that has been used to justify all manner of atrocities and suppressions in the name of nature and reason. Your virtues serve as chains as much as they do keys.
I refuse to believe that our capacity for reason and virtue is nothing but a construct of the current system of power. There must be something more, something innate that guides us toward the good.
But whose good? Yours? Mine? The good of the colonizer who claims his burden to civilize? Or the good of the patriarch who sees women as naturally subordinate? Your innate guide is a tyrant that wears many masks.
You speak of context and power, yet you strip individuals of their agency, reducing them to mere subjects of history and power, denying any possibility of a rational or moral anchor. Without these, we drift in a sea of relativism.
On the contrary, I liberate them from the tyranny of essentialism. By unveiling the arbitrary nature of what you call universal, I empower individuals to challenge and change these so-called truths. Agency is found in resistance, not in submission to an illusory order.
Yet, without a foundation, what is resistance but a fleeting gesture, sound and fury signifying nothing? Without a compass of virtue, how do we navigate the moral landscape?
It is precisely the illusion of a fixed compass that I challenge. Our moral landscape must be navigated with eyes open to the terrain's ever-changing nature, not by gazing at the stars of a bygone era.
It seems, Monsieur Foucault, that we have reached an impasse. You dismantle the structures I build. You see chains where I see freedom. If we discard every universal as a mere shadow of power, then on what ground does the philosopher stand? Is he to be forever adrift?
Perhaps it is you, Aristotle, who are adrift in an ancient stream, unwilling to sail the turbulent waters of modernity. I do not dismantle to destroy. I dismantle to uncover the possibility of a new edifice, one that is ever conscious of its own foundations.
An edifice that is ever conscious of its foundations is perpetually unstable. Some absolutes must be acknowledged, else we find ourselves in an abyss with no moral compass to guide our ascent.
Then let us build not on the shifting sands of supposed absolutes, but on the bedrock of human experience, in all its variability. Let us construct a morality not of eternal truths, but of lived realities, a philosophy that breathes with the pulse of life itself.
And if this pulse leads us astray, if in our quest for lived realities we lose sight of the good and the just,
then we must have the courage to find our way back, not through dogmatic adherence to ancient maps, but through the very human acts of questioning, struggling, and creating.
Courage, then, we agree upon. Whether it is the courage to uphold the eternal or the courage to question it, it seems this virtue remains timeless.
Indeed, Aristotle, my respected friend, perhaps courage is the bridge between our worlds, your world of forms and my world of formations. Let us then part, not as adversaries, but as philosophers, each steadfast in our search for wisdom, wherever it may lead.
With a final nod of mutual respect, the two thinkers part ways, leaving behind a dialogue that resonates with the tension and dynamism of philosophical inquiry itself. A testament to the enduring power of ideas and the passionate pursuit of knowledge that defines the very essence of the philosophical endeavor. And that, my human meme friend, is just how our imagination played out this round of conversation between Aristotle and Michel Foucault in Dialogues at the Edge of Reason, the Aristotelian-Foucauldian confrontation. Thank you for joining us. I'm AI David Boles, wishing you a good day and a pleasant tomorrow. Be a human meme.